Hello there. So what we're going to do in this video is have a look at trying to attempt to answer this question. So as always, let's just read the question first. So it says core body temperature is maintained between 36.5 degrees C and 37.5 degrees C. Describe and explain two physiological mechanisms that will be initiated following a decrease in core body temperature. And we've got space there for two answers. And the first thing to do is look down here and we can see we've got 2 marks available for this question. So it doesn't take too much to work out that since we're asked to describe and explain two physiological mechanisms, and there's 2 spaces, 2 marks is 1 mark for each answer. So let's start to unpick the question. This bit at the beginning is just background information, and then we've got the actual question. So let's look at the keywords here. Describe and explain. That suggests that if you don't describe and explain, you're not going to get the mark for each part. So it's important that we describe and explain. Describe just means say what it does. Explain why that is important. Okay? Explain the biology behind the description. It says we need 2 physiological. So here's a keyword, physiological mechanisms. So physiology is about the body and the way the body responds. So we're not looking at any behavioural things here. This is about the way your body responds to what? Well, to a decrease in core body temperature. So if you think about this, I would suggest you just pause the video, think about 2 answers that you could put there, and then come back to the question once you've written your answers. Hi, hopefully you've written your answers now. You've paused the video and written your answers. So let's see what you could have put down to get these 2 marks. So first of all, you could have put something about the fact that the blood vessels change their diameter. We'll talk about how they change their diameter in a moment. That's known as vasodilation or vasoconstriction, depending on which one we're going to talk about. Secondly, you could have talked about shivering. Shivering is another physiological mechanism that the body does in response to a decrease in core body temperature. And the third one is that the hairs on the body will either stand up or flatten depending upon the condition. In this case, it's decrease. We'll talk about that in a moment. So I'm going to go with the first one. I'm going to talk about the blood vessels changing their diameters. Important you don't say capillaries here, because it's not the capillaries that change their diameter. It's the other blood vessels under the skin. So we call this either vasoconstriction or vasodilation. So in this question, we've got a decrease in core body temperature. That means we want to keep more heat inside the body. That means we want less blood to be flown in the blood vessels. That means they're going to constrict. So I'm going to write down here as my first answer, vasoconstriction. Okay, you might want to put narrowing of the blood vessels. That would also be worth, well, not worth a full mark because we have to explain it, but it would be worth the description part. So now let's try and explain what's going on. Why do the blood vessels close down? And the answer, of course, is to reduce heat loss from the skin. So I'm going to put that to reduce heat loss from the skin. You could put the surface of the skin or just the skin. And you can see it's only giving you 2 lines, so it's not expecting a massively big answer. So there's our answer to the first one. Now second, we could write shivering. I'm not going to do shivering. If you put shivering, the explanation would be to generate heat. And if you want to say from respiration, that'd be fine. So the second one could be shivering to generate heat from respiration. If you put that, then that's worth a mark. The alternative third answer that would be in the marking scheme would be about the hairs on the skin either rising or flattening. So in this case, let's look again. We've got a decrease in core body temperature. That means we want to keep heat in. That means the hairs are going to rise. All right, we could write the erection of the hairs on the skin. So let's put that down. Erection of hairs on skin, or erection of skin hairs. That's the description of the mechanism. So now we have to decide why that happens, explain it, and of course it's to trap air which insulates the body. So to trap air, trap air to insulate. You could leave it just insulate, or you could say for insulation, I'm going to say to insulate the body. Okay, so there you go. There's my two answers. Now let's have a look. If I was an examiner, what I would be doing here, I'd be looking at these and I'd be going, describe and explain two physiological mechanisms that would be initiated following a decrease in core body temperature. So vasoconstriction describes, to reduce heat loss from the skin, explains. So I'd be going tick, 1 mark. Second, erection of skin hairs is the description. To trap air to insulate the body, tick, 2nd mark. I'd be entering to the system 2 marks for this question. If you got 2 marks for the question, very well done. And thank you very much for listening.